Hey Alyssa, it's Dr. Scott. Hey, I hope you're feeling better, and I'd like you to be able to watch this before I meet with you tomorrow. Instead of special topics, what we're going to do is I'm going to meet individually with people that submitted their essay too, and so I was hoping to chat with you maybe at like 1:15, so a little bit after English 11:01. That's if you're on campus tomorrow. If not, we can find a time early next week. So I'm going to kind of just talk you through my feedback. I have some notes over here on your draft that you'll be able to see on Blackboard. And I'll just kind of talk you through what I was noticing and give you my ideas about where the essay needs to go from here. At the end, I'll kind of walk you through the rubric for the assignment and just kind of explain like how I graded it. This essay's close. It's solid, but it's got a couple things that are a little confusing, and then there's one of the criteria that are pretty important for this assignment that I'm not seeing much progress on. And I'll kind of explain that as we go through. Alright, so I think you did a really great job integrating sources. That was an important learning criteria for the assignment, and you showed me right here that you're able to kind of set a quote up and then talk about it afterwards. It might be helpful in the future to kind of say something like, according to, who is this Drew Fite? Why is he somebody that we should kind of pay attention to? I mean, he's a scholar here at Shawnee State. He's a professor here at Shawnee State and does work in history. So it might be something to consider in the future. But overall, generally, you're able to kind of integrate a source into the essay and kind of maintain your voice. The thesis statement was pretty strong. That was another important criteria for the assignment. I'd like to see captions for these, so like a figure 1 or something like that, and then I'd like you to refer to the images in your essay. I think it can be really helpful to help it could help people reading your paper kind of see what details you're talking about in your essay, and we can kind of see the visual representation of that in the visuals that you use in your writing. But I would like to see captions in for the visuals. If you're not sure how to do that, let me know and I can help you figure that out. One of the bigger issues, I think, with this essay is that it's got these two very large paragraphs that are summarizing both of the murals, and I don't think you need it for the kind of analysis that you're trying to do. The visuals will help, and then, like, in the text of your analysis, like in the paragraphs where you're doing analysis, and you do have a couple paragraphs that are doing a solid job, and there's one I really like that I'm going to talk to you about, but there's a lot of talk about the colors and things like that. I think bringing that to the paragraph where you talk about colors would be helpful, and I think that these paragraphs kind of need to get scrapped. They're really well-written summaries of the murals, but they're not necessarily helping you analyze, so they probably need to kind of go away. The contrast idea, I think, is really kind of important. I have a comment here about how that might be one way you organize your thoughts. I wrote that before reading your later paragraphs because you really do kind of play up the contrast later on. So that feedback you may not need to pay attention to. But this paragraph here and this paragraph up here, they probably kind of need to go away because they're not really doing any analysis just yet. But there are details in here that you're writing about that I think could make a lot of sense for later paragraphs where you actually do get into the analysis. Here's where I feel like the essay kind of began. And that's where you're writing about both of the murals at the same time. I think having one paragraph talk about one mural and another paragraph talking about another mural kind of keeps you away from kind of talking about the message that both the murals together are trying to convey. And I think mixing it up provides a little bit of some interesting contrast, which you do later on, but again, those earlier paragraphs, they don't really help you do that. Okay, this paragraph, I love this paragraph. You knocked this one out of the park. That the action paragraph, you did such a great job there. I'm really proud of you there. I think the trick is going to be to get the color paragraph kind of doing this kind of thing, and I think the thing that was really kind of confusing for me is that, like, we have a little bit of discussion about color here. We have a lot of discussion about color in the earlier paragraphs, and then we have this paragraph about color here. And so one of the main learning criteria for this assignment is being able to organize your thoughts. So it's like we have a little bit of color and action in earlier paragraphs, then you have a paragraph about action, and then you have a paragraph about color. And there should be a reason why you're going from one idea to the other. Like, did you think that one approach was particularly more persuasive, or it did a better job of contrasting the two times that are mentioned in the murals? Whatever your reason is, that reason needs to be a little bit clearer. It just kind of reads right now like I'm going from action and then from action to color, and there's not really kind of a reason why. So that needs to get worked into the revision. So my feedback here is, like, solid job, a really good job with the draft. There's a little bit of work to be done with, like, you know, inserting captions and things like that, and then referring to the images in your essay. I think the bigger issue is how you're organizing ideas and then transitioning between ideas, making it clear like how and why you're moving from one to the other. Also, the earlier paragraphs where you're summarizing, those probably need to get cut. You might need to find a third thing to kind of contrast and compare, but you do have a lot of details in those earlier paragraphs that you might be able to bring down to the action and to the color paragraphs. So that's my thoughts about your essay. Let's talk a little bit about grade. Again, it's close. Thesis statement, satisfactory. I thought it was a solid thesis statement. Supporting details, there were places where I wanted to see more specific details supporting your thoughts. Oops. Alright, I'm going to have to open that up again. Sorry about this. Okay, here we go. So satisfactory, close to satisfactory with details. Organization and transitions, I'm not seeing it just yet, so there's quite a bit of work to be done there, and I can help you figure that out tomorrow during our conference. Source integration, thought you did a solid job with that. Again, I'd like to hear you or see you write about the credibility of the sources that you're pulling from, but you did a decent job of explaining or connecting the source material to your thoughts. And then other criteria, MLA format, visuals, semicolons. I think with the visuals, just the captions, if you're able to take care of that, will be fine. Really, for me, this and this, that's where the work kind of needs to be at this point. I'm looking forward to chatting with you tomorrow. Again, I hope you're feeling better, and I hope that this is helpful. And if you have questions, let me know. But again, I hope to see you tomorrow.